Welcome back to Freedom Flicker. Today, we're diving into a major story shaking up the financial and political world. President Donald Trump's unprecedented move to fire Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook over allegations of mortgage fraud. Is this a legitimate crackdown on misconduct, or is it a power play to control the Federal Reserve? In the next 30 minutes, we'll break down the who, what, why, and what it all means for you. Stick around, because this story has layers, legal battles, economic implications, and questions about the independence of America's central bank. Let's get started. First, let's talk about Lisa Cook. She's a trailblazer, the first black woman to serve on the Federal Reserve's Board of Governors, appointed by President Joe Biden in 2022. Her term was set to run until 2038, a 14-year stint that reflects the Fed's long-term, independent structure. Cook is an economist with a Ph.D. from UC Berkeley, previously serving on Obama's Council of Economic Advisors and teaching at Michigan State University. At the Fed, she's part of the 7-member Board of Governors, which helps set U.S. monetary policy, including interest rates, a role that impacts every American's wallet. But now, her position is at the center of a firestorm. Why? Let's dive into the allegations. The controversy started with William Pulte, a Trump ally and director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, which oversees mortgage giants like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. On August 15, 2025, Pulte sent a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi, alleging that Cook committed mortgage fraud in 2021 before she joined the Federal. Here's the claim. Cook allegedly took out 2 mortgages, one for a home in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and another for a condo in Atlanta, Georgia, just 2 weeks apart. In both applications, she reportedly claimed each property as her primary residence, which can secure lower interest rates because lenders see primary homes as less risky. Pulte says this is fraud, potentially violating federal law, and he urged the Justice Department to investigate. Trump seized on this, posting on Truth Social on August 20th that Cook must resign now. But here's the catch. Cook hasn't been charged with a crime, and proving mortgage fraud requires showing intent to deceive, which isn't clear from public records. So, is this a smoking gun or a stretch? On August 25, 2025, Trump escalated things dramatically. He posted a letter on Truth Social announcing that he was firing Lisa Cook effective immediately, citing the mortgage fraud allegations as sufficient cause under the Federal Reserve Act. This is historic. It's the first time a president has tried to remove a sitting Fed governor. But here's where it gets tricky. The Federal Reserve Act says governors can only be removed for cause, typically meaning serious misconduct or neglect of duty. Legal experts, like Columbia Law's Lev Menon, argue that unproven allegations from before Cook's Fed tenure don't meet this standard. Plus, Cook wasn't given a chance to formally respond or review the evidence, which some say violates her due process rights. Trump, however, claims the allegations undermine public trust in the Fed's integrity. So, who's got the stronger case here? Lisa Cook isn't going quietly. On August 28th, she filed a lawsuit in federal court in Washington, D.C., calling Trump's attempt to fire her unprecedented and illegal. Her lawyers argue that the allegations are unsubstantiated and that Trump lacks the authority to remove her without proven misconduct related to her Fed duties. Cook's team also suggests the accusations might stem from a clerical error rather than intentional fraud. They're seeking a temporary restraining order to keep her in her role while the case plays out, potentially affecting the Fed's September interest rate decision. Cook herself said, "I will continue to carry out my duties to help the American economy." This sets up a landmark legal battle that could go all the way to the Supreme Court, testing the limits of presidential power over the federal. What's at stake? Let's talk about it. This isn't just about Lisa Cook. It's part of a larger pattern. Trump has been vocal about wanting more control over the Federal Reserve, criticizing Chair Jerome Powell and others for keeping interest rates high despite his push for cuts. He's also targeted other Fed officials and celebrated the early resignation of Governor Adriana Kugler, which gave him a chance to nominate a loyalist. The Cook allegations, raised by Trump ally Bill Pulte, mirror similar mortgage fraud claims against Trump's political foes, like Senator Adam Schiff and New York AG Letitia James. Critics, including Senator Elizabeth Warren, call this a weaponization of fraud allegations to undermine the Fed's independence. Why does this matter? The Fed's autonomy is crucial for keeping politics out of monetary policy, which affects inflation, jobs, and your mortgage rates. If Trump succeeds in ousting Cook, he could gain a majority on the Fed's board, reshaping economic policy. But at what cost to the Fed's credibility? So what's next? Cook's lawsuit could drag on, potentially reaching the Supreme Court, which recently ruled that Fed governors have unique protections. If Cook wins, it could reinforce the Fed's independence. If Trump prevails, he might replace Cook with a loyalist, like Stephen Moran or David Malpass, tilting the Fed's balance. Economists warn that undermining the Fed's autonomy could spook markets, weaken the dollar, and raise borrowing costs. Already, the dollar dipped after Trump's announcement. On the flip side, Trump supporters argue he's rooting out corruption and ensuring accountability. Whatever happens, this case will set a precedent for how much power a president has over the federal. And with the Fed's next interest rate meeting in September, the clock is ticking. That's the story so far. A historic clash between President Trump and Fed Governor Lisa Cook over mortgage fraud allegations that could reshape the Federal Reserve. Is this about integrity, or is it a power grab? We'll keep you updated as this legal battle unfolds. What do you think? Should Trump have the power to fire Fed governors, or is the Fed's independence non-negotiable? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you found this breakdown helpful, and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories shaping our world. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.